Paricutin, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. April 14, 2021. Leaving Pátzcuaro, which is in the middle of the state of Michoacán and is a pueblo with a quaint artisan enclave. This morning we are headed west out of Pátzcuaro towards Uruapan on our way to Paricutin. Pátzcuaro, in the language of the native Purépecha people, means roughly door to heaven. We are making our way through the beautiful countryside on our way to Uruapan. Uruapan, in the native language, translates into where the flowers grow. We pass a few pueblocitos, or small towns, like Tingambato. It is such an interesting experience for me to witness daily life in these small towns as we travel through the interior of Mexico. Avocado tree farms are just about everywhere in Michoacán, where because of the subtropical climate, avocados grow extremely well. And as we enter Uruapan, we are greeted with a welcome sign that also proclaims that Uruapan is the world capital of avocados. They have 6 huge distribution facilities and deliver avocados around the world, supplying the U.S. with 90% of our avocados. While passing through town, we pass a mural at a major road junction depicting Vasco de Quiroga, along with others who are given credit for the founding of this part of the country. When they finish the road, this intersection will be beautiful. As we are about to exit the city, we pass yet another avocado tree farm. And the avocado capital of the world bids us a pleasant journey. We head north out of Uruapan on our final leg to JUAN, where we will pick up our Volcano guide. We pass another one of the very interesting pueblocitos on the way to Paricutin, San Lorenzo. So, Parikutan. In all my world travels, I have only found one person who knew about it. Not well known, so why is it significant? This is a quote from Wikipedia. The importance of Parikutan eruption was that it was the first time that volcanologists were able to fully document the entire life cycle of a volcano. We are traveling through the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Belt with 1,000 other volcanic sites just like Parikutan, and yet Parikutan is the special one. We get a glimpse of it from the road. It will still take us a long time to get there. Not too far now from JUAN, where we will pick up our Volcan Parikutan guide. One of the methods of getting up to the volcano is the use of horses, and these are some of the horses used for that purpose. I was told that there are probably more horses in this small pueblo as there are cars. JUAN, which in the Purépecha language means place after the slope, is a small pueblo with dusty streets with pretty much an easygoing, slow pace of living. One of the horse owners spotted us and rode his horse to catch up with us and possibly offer his services. But today we were taking a vehicle. Next time I go, I will take that option and use horses. We have arrived at the plaza where we meet our guide to the volcano. Before taking off, we visit the church where some locals are involved in their daily visit to the church. And then it was time to head up to the volcano. This video, as hard as I tried, cannot show how complicated and treacherous the journey was, and Sal, the driver, did a phenomenal job of negotiating all the obstacles. I will say a four-wheel drive would have been much easier, but that said, this was the vehicle we had, and Sal did great. We head south out of JUAN. Once we reach the edge of town, it is a bumpy, uneven dirt road from here on. Our route skirts the major lava flow, and eventually we arrive at the backside of Volcano Paricutin. Just after leaving town, we pass a small group of Purépecha ladies dressed in traditional Purépecha style. After a while, we reach and we travel on the road that skirts the lava flow. The video does not show how really impressive these hills and mounds of lava flow are. This is me and Sal in the front, and Furman, our Vulcan guide, and Alex in the back. We occasionally get a glimpse of Parikhutan off in the distance. Because of the church that partially survived the lava flow, this whole region has religious significance, and along the way we pass one of the locations for the celebration of the Lord of Miracles based on a Purépecha legend which goes something like this. The knowledge of the power of Christ had reached the Purépecha, and an image of the Lord had been left in the church now covered by lava in the town of San Juan Parangaricutirro, which we will visit later. At the time, a local chief did not believe. However, later his son took ill, and he turned to the Lord and promised that if he would save his son, he would dance to him in gratitude. The boy was cured, and the chief kept his word. So every year there is a festival to commemorate. And the dance, which was originated at the time, is still danced today at the festival and is called La Danza de los Viejitos, the dance of the little old men. A side note, not only done at the festival, but often these days done for tourists, and very often done by youngsters bent over with canes and dressed in old clothes and wearing masks of old people. I have a video of this I took when on the island of Viejitos, which will be part of my full Mexico adventure video. We have now gotten very close to the base of the volcano, and the car cannot get through the volcanic ash, so we park the car and walk the remaining distance to the volcano. We start our trek up the side of the volcano, and the going is slow but doable with caution. We can see steam escaping from some vents that still exist. The volcano is still warm, and water that gets trapped inside heats up and ultimately escapes in the form of steam. This lower part of the climb is fairly doable. You still have to watch your step, but it is not very taxing so far. As we continue to climb, it's a beautiful view, and pretty quickly, the climb gets significantly steeper and fairly difficult. There is no firm path. It is all cinder stone and ash, The process is very similar to climbing a sand hill, one step up and slide back half a step. For me, there's another problem. We are at almost 9,000 feet, and 2 days ago I was at sea level, and I was wearing out very rapidly. However, I pressed on and probably got 2/3 of the way up to the top, certainly more than halfway, when I decided preservation over pride was the prudent call. A fall on the jagged rocks could be disastrous. Sal continued on and got a very nice photo at the top of the rim and the crater. By that time I had started down, and even the descent was not an easy process. Alex was an exceptional guide and stayed with me, which I really appreciated. On the way down, Alex decided to etch my name on one of the rocks. This is not something I would do on my own, but I will admit I kind of like the idea of being memorialized here at Paricutin. We have now all returned to the car and are headed to the church. This is Sal doing an awesome job of driving these treacherous roads, and you can see Parikhutan out the window in the background. This is the first glimpse of the church, and I have to say it was an amazing sight. It just got more and more impressive the closer we got. And this is one of the many memorials that we saw along the side of the road, which, as it turns out, are memorials to the neighborhood or barrio that existed in that location prior to the eruption. We are now approaching the place where they celebrate the Fiesta del Señor de los Milagros, or the Lord of Miracles Fiesta celebration, close to the lava-covered church. The color purple is prevalent here and at many of the roadside memorials, which signifies penance and mourning. When we got to where the path to the church starts, there was a small outdoor kitchen with local cooking. It had been a long day and we were famished, so this was a welcome sight. And they even had cold beer out here in essentially the middle of nowhere. So before heading up to the church, we had some lunch. But first, a cold glass of beer and then a really delicious meal. I sat down while they prepare lunch, and finally I got a decent photo of Alex without his mask, and this is Furman, our Volcan Paricutin guide, who was essential in getting us to the volcano. The word for cheers in the native language of the Purépecha is chache kuaman. First, we snacked on some of the incredibly tasty avocados from this region, putting them on the blue corn or Hopi maize tortillas and adding some salsa. Then they served us lunch. What a fabulous experience. They continued to cook blue tortillas for us while we enjoyed lunch, and Alex tried to explain to me what we were eating. It was steak and onions, some local white beans, and chorizo with potatoes. Delicious. And then it was time to start the short but very jagged and rocky hike up to the church. This location here was the town of San Juan Parangaricultiro that was originally covered with volcanic ash. It took about a year for the lava to reach the town. The lava traveled at about 1 meter per hour, eventually burning and destroying all wooden structures. No one died, but 4,000 to 5,000 people were displaced. It was a mountain of lava to climb up to the church. You really have to be quite careful where you step because the path is very uneven and the boulders are quite jagged. Easy to twist an ankle or lose your balance and fall on the rocks. Therefore, I progressed slowly and cautiously. How remarkable it was to see the facade of this church looming majestically out from the lava which surrounds it on all sides.
24 kilometers from the volcano.
Upon reaching the church, I am struck at how impressive the scene is. Then we walk back to the altar at the back of the church, through what once was the nave area where the parishioners would have been seated during church services. The altar was even more stunning in that not only had it not been destroyed, but it was still incredibly intact, essentially all the way to the floor of the church. You can see there are many offerings placed at the altar, and even if you are a non-believer, it's difficult to imagine that there was not some sort of powerful force there to save it from destruction. There is certainly the possibility that this was just pure happenstance, but it is easy to see why so many of the faithful come here to pray and make offerings, because if you are a believer, then you are certain the hand of God played a role. It is truly one of the most stunning sights I have ever seen in all my travels. Hand of God or pure happenstance, stunning. Pretty much miraculous. We all, Alex, Sal, and I, returned to the front of the church for some photos of the facade. First, I need to climb up. It's easy for Alex and Sal, but I need to take it nice and slow. In my research, I have found two answers for the fact that one tower is not complete. One is that they were never able to finish it due to the volcano, and the other is that the ground shook so violently when the volcano blew that the other tower fell. Since the founding of the church was back in the early 1600s and the volcano occurred in the mid-1900s, I suspect that the tower fell. But who really knows? Here is a 1943 photo with the lava very close and the second tower already gone, but still inconclusive. Of the tower that's still standing, this is a view from the back side, and this is a view from the front side. And this is a view from the front side of the facade, amazingly still well preserved. Sadly, my adventure to Paricutin has come to a close. To put it in perspective, maybe, I have seen silverback gorillas in Rwanda, ridden the rapids of the Grand Canyon, seen the majesty of St. Peter's Basilica, walked the Great Wall of China, climbed the massive boulders of the pyramids. I have dived the Great Barrier Reef of Australia, and in Bali had a 10-foot boa constrictor wrapped around my neck. I've taken a hot air balloon over the Serengeti of Africa, and so much more. But this was as interesting, significant, and impressive as anything I have done or anywhere I have gone. A final note to this video. This is a photo of Alex, Sal, and me in front of the Morelos statue on top of Genizio Island the day before heading towards Paricutin. It will be featured in another upcoming video. As I started this adventure, Alex was my tour guide from Vibe Adventures and Sal my driver. Quickly they became friends, and as we did things together, and by the end of this tour of the Mexican state of Michoacan, they had become buddies, and I look forward to my next sojourn to Mexico with them. Also, I have to give musical credit to an unknown mariachi band in Tequila Plaza, located in the historical center of Mexico City. Also, another video to come.